friends, back to my kitchen, and today we are getting all set up and prepping our meal for Thanksgiving. And so I thought I would show you, I would make a video of my dressing. I've been making this dressing for 36 years, ever since I came to California. My mom used to do something similar, but I stick with was the one my mother-in-law made. My mother-in-law always made this dressing, and my kids grew up eating this, and they enjoy it. Over the years, I kind of changed a little bit some of the stuff that goes in, and added different spices, and so I'm at this point where my dressing, I think, is just right. My kids always ask for it. That's the highlight of Thanksgiving. So this was an idea that at least my kids that are not close to me, if they want to make it, they have a video, they have a recipe. We never had a recipe. It was just a pinch of this, a pinch of that. So now I put a recipe and they can make it in their own homes. So anyway, so that's why I decided to do this. And so I'm going to show you how I make my dressing / stuffing. Dressing if you don't stuff the turkey. If you stuff the turkey, it becomes stuffing. This is dressing. I always fry my turkey. We never put stuffing in it. I've been frying my turkey for between 15 to 18 years, so it always becomes dressing. And I always like to make a couple days in advance, because the longer it sits, the more absorbs all those flavors. And when you eat this, it's a meal in itself. So, and I'm gonna show you how I make my dressing. And here we go. In here I have, this is bread that gets old. And I cube it, I toast it, and I keep it in a tight container. So I always have, or I keep it in a freezer, because if you leave it in a container, it can get ransom. I put it in a freezer when I want it, or to breadcrumbs or anything. I just have it ready. So I have here about 10 cups of bread. And on this recipe, I'm gonna make regular bread, and I'm gonna do also some gluten-free bread, because some of my family don't eat regular bread. So I have here 1 onion, some celery, bell peppers. I have been getting all this prep ahead of time. I have garlic. I have thyme and sage. That's what those some of those flavors that I kind of changed over the year. I have some cinnamon and some black pepper, some parsley, and some malagueta. And here I have 1 link of chouriço, 1 link of linguica. And I also am gonna add chicken. It's in my fridge. But let me get started with my sofrito. So I'm gonna put about 3 tablespoons of olive oil. And we're gonna start sauteing our onions. And I've been prepping all this, so when it comes, the thing with the holidays that people say, oh, it's so much work, it's so much this. If you prep in advance, it doesn't take no time. If I always write it down. What am I gonna cook? What somebody else is gonna bring? What can I prep ahead of time? Like these vegetables, anything that I needed to prep ahead of time, I did it on Sunday. So you always can do stuff ahead. That's how you get through these holidays. People think it's sometimes so complicated, but it's not. All you need is organization. So anyway, so I'm gonna saute my onions, and I'm gonna put about half a teaspoon of salt. I I ran out of kosher salt, so I'm using regular salt, the fine salt, so I have to watch it so it doesn't, I don't oversalt it, because my malagueta also has salt. And I grounded all my garlic. Done that, put it in a jar. That way, when it comes this holiday, at this time, you're not peeling garlic and doing all this. It's all about planning ahead. So I'm gonna let this saute over here. And so when I came for the United States, you know, I came Thanksgiving, and my mother-in-law had the turkey, and you know, she made this stuffing, and it was so good because she put chicken, she put chouriço, she put linguica, and it had all the vegetables. So my kids grew up eating that. I made it like she did, and okay, I'm gonna put my my celery. I have about 6 ribs of celery in here. And you kind of just want to saute all this, and you kind of mix this so that garlic don't burn. So she made it, and I've been making ever since. And my kids grew up eating this. Like I said, over the years, I kind of changed a little bit the recipe, put my own little spin on things, but the basic is the same. And like I said, you know, this is not a dry dressing. It's kind of a wet, you know, it's very moist. And you can do this. I mean, I always say, I make it throughout the year, kind of similar dressing, but not exactly. It doesn't seem like, you know, for Thanksgiving, this is what's the ideal. And my kids, all they ask is, where's the dressing? They don't care much about the turkey, it's the dressing. So I've been making ever since. So I'm just chopping this chicken kind of like in small pieces. Don't have to be really small. You can just shred it, but I'm just cutting it to make it easy. But over the years, you know, we go different places, you know, you have families that you go and they don't have that dressing. It doesn't seem like it's Thanksgiving. That's why I like to stay close to our home at Thanksgiving, because I make this dressing and it reminds me of Thanksgiving. It reminds me when I came from the Azores and we would go to my mother-in-law and we would all be there, you know, my sister-in-laws and my kids, and we would just feel like a family. Okay, friends, I'm gonna put now my onion, bell peppers, and I'm just gonna let this kind of saute all together. I just want you to tell that the celery is kind of a little bit softer. Doesn't have to be completely cooked because we're gonna put this in the oven. That it was kind of different than my mom. That when I came, that I saw that my mother-in-law put it. She put black olives on her dressing, and I've been making ever since. So that's what I'm doing. I'm chopping a can of black olives. It's a 6-ounce can. It doesn't matter if it's the large olives or the small. Just want some black olives. And like I said, you make this, it's a meal. It's a meal in itself. Because you got all the vegetables, you got the meat, you got the bread. That's why sometimes a couple days later, that's what my kids want. They want just the dressing. And if I have dressing left, or I stuff chicken breast, or I butterfly some pork loin, and put some of this, or put it in bell peppers, mixed up bell peppers. So, okay friends, now I'm gonna add my malagueta to my my mixture here. I'm gonna add my spices, the thyme and the sage. And I'm also gonna add the cinnamon and the pepper. And then this is where all of a sudden those smells begin to smell like fall, Thanksgiving. Until you put that cinnamon in it, that sage, it doesn't smell like Thanksgiving. You put those flavors and voila. And so I'm gonna let this just kind of blend a little bit. I add more, half a box of the chicken broth to my bread, so it's well soaked. So I'm gonna add half of the chicken. Keep a little bit. I have to remember I'm doing also another batch of gluten-free, and then some of the olives, some parsley, and I'm gonna mix all this. You kind of mix all this together. You need a big bowl. This year, we have a small gathering, but I always like to make big turkey because my husband loves the turkey days after. So I always make extra turkey. But this year I'm gonna make fried my turkey like always, and then I also have which is so convenient for those people that are, they have small gatherings. You can buy the turkey breast in the store, and that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do 2 turkey breasts, and I'm gonna smoke them. I always wanted to smoke it, but nobody likes me to smoke the turkey, and I don't want to ruin the turkey, so I'm gonna try with the turkey breast. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna butterfly the turkey, which means is kind of make them flat, and I'm gonna put some of this stuffing in it and then smoke it. And then we'll see how that comes out. I'm excited. So I'm gonna put, before I do that, I'm gonna take some of that out. Before I dump everything, I'm gonna take some for my other dressing, the gluten-free. So I'm just gonna, I don't make very much because it's only for my son, but I like him. I know he likes it. So this is one of their favorite. Oh, this skillet is heavy. So now we mix all this together. I just wish you could smell all this. The smell is incredible. That chouriço, that sage, that cinnamon. And I haven't added no salt because my pepper has salt, the chouriço has salt, so I'm just gonna blend all this, and then I'm gonna taste the salt. And looking at it, I want a little bit more moist. So like I said, this is a moist dressing, it's not a dry. So I end up putting 2 boxes of the chicken broth. But this is, like I said, so delicious. And you can, if you make extra, sometimes I do, I always make a bunch of everything. It needs a little bit of salt, not much. So about half a teaspoon. You can put this in a tight container and freeze it. And then when you need it, just take it out. Stuff your bell peppers, stuff your chicken breast. But it's so easy that you can, but like I said, sometimes I overestimate it and make it too much. And here it is. This is how I make my dressing. So now I'm gonna put it in a dish and I'll show you. Okay friends, here is my dressing. So now I'm gonna cover this with a plastic wrap and then foil. So it's a couple more days before Thanksgiving. So the longer this sits, the better it tastes. So the morning of Thanksgiving, I just put this, leave the wrap and the foil, put everything in the oven at 350 for about maybe an hour and 15 minutes. If you like a little bit crispy on top, the last 10 minutes, crank the oven for 400, take the cover and let it sit so it can crisp up the top. And if you make this is one delicious dressing. This is a dressing because we're not stuffing the turkey. If it was to stuff the turkey, it becomes stuffing. My mother-in-law used to put this in canning jars. And she used to bake it in the jars. So that way, you know, the space was limited. When you come in the oven, you don't have this. She would just put those the jars in a tray, and I've done that. You put it in a little dish with a little bit of water, and it pretty much, the steam, it'll kind of warm it up, because this is all cooked. Everything is cooked in here. There's nothing wrong. You just want to warm it through and those flavors to blend. So I know by the time this video goes out, Thanksgiving has passed through, but this is all ideal also for Thanksgiving. I mean for Christmas, if you make any more turkey on Christmas, or even to eat with just ham. This is a nice side dish. So just make this dish. Try it. And you will love it. And you will see how delicious this is. And it doesn't even need to be Christmas. I always ask myself, why do I wait to be Christmas? But I think because this is ideal for Christmas. It brings the Christmas, those smells, those memories. And that's what I was going to say is this brings memories of when, you know, I came from Azores and we used to go with my kids to my in-laws and my sister-in-laws and their kids. So it was like that whole family together that brings memories, and my kids love it. And it is not Thanksgiving without the dressing. So, anyway, so just go get some bread. You know, that old bread, you don't know what to do with it, toast it and put it to use and make some dressing. And here it is. Thanksgiving dressing from California. It's a little bit of Portuguese, it's a little bit of California. And until next time, have a good day. Let's get cooking.